Guy Adami, a big Friday surprise for you.
I hope it's got like some Jimmy Page vibes and some rock and roll vibes.
You're getting rock and roll vibes. You're getting your hair metal out. You're getting your classic rock out. Want to introduce David Fishof, founder of Rock Camp, rock insider, business insider for rock, and a man who's also had a lot of time dealing with some of the biggest sports celebrities, especially those around the New York area that we've idolized. David, welcome to Commercial Break with Tim and Guy.
Thanks for having me on. I'm in sunny California, so I miss New York. I do definitely miss New York.
You've got enough New York accent for both of us. Guy is going to probably, I'm going to beat him to. He's going to want to right away. We're calling you Fish, right?
Yeah, take me home to my childhood. I love that.
So we'll go into the sports thing first, but I mentioned, Jimmy Page, and I'm looking at Fish, and right behind him, if I'm not mistaken, you have some cool picture of Jimmy Page rocking out.
I don't have any Zepp stories. Oh, the guy behind me is Joe Perry. I've tried to get
that's
Jimmy.
Joe Perry? Oh,
yeah,
my God.
I tried to get Jim. I tried to get them to come to my camp. I got the drummer. I got, what's his name? The kid, Jason Bonham. He just did my rock camp. Yeah. I've tried the other two, Jimmy Page is, I'll get him one day. It's like, hey, I always wanted Mick Jagger, and he did he did the Simpsons episode on Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. So eventually they come.
Well, we as you know, we talk about business all day, but whenever we get an opportunity on CNBC, national cable audience during some crazy times for markets, we want to weave in rock and roll references because we think it's not just us three. I think there's a lot of people that care about rock and roll, care about the business of rock and roll. You've been around the business of rock and roll as much as anything, but quickly give us frame for our audience a little bit of your background, where you've been involved. And I want to hear all about Rock Camp because talk about a guy who didn't attend enough camp growing up, and Rock Camp would have been the place that if my parents could have shipped me off and left me there, they would have. But it's a great concept. The stories are incredible, but how did this all start? Give us the quick snapshot.
Well, I started in the Catskills, and I was a booking agent up there, and met an actor named Herschel Bernardi who said, "Get out of the Catskills." And I got out of the Catskills and started representing him and booking, people like Joel Gray, and I started doing, concerts and for all these organizations. And then I met Elliot Maddox for the New York Yankees at the time, and the
New York Mets,
and the New York Mets, right? And
thank you.
So Elliot Maddox, I turned to him when I was 20 years old, and I said, "Hey, why don't we go into business together and let's call it Elliot Maddox Enterprises and let's represent other athletes?" And that's what I wanted to do. And he thought it was great. And the first client I picked up was Lou Piniella. And
sweet Lou. Was he as pissed off all the time as he appeared? I mean, we call it passion, but sometimes Lou looked like he was ready to not just take somebody's head off, but literally his head was going to explode.
Well, let me tell you something. He was one of I idolized him because on the field, he was a competitor. Off the field, he was the funniest guy in the world. And, I got by, I just used to do an impression of Lou all the time. I loved him. And I still, I took my kid to see him last year, and we got to spend the day together. And, in Florida, he was great. You know why? Because he taught me how to win. He had the passion that you play hard, but, and work hard. So I give Lou a lot of credit. And then from Lou, I went on to represent, he introduced me to Vince Ferragamo because he had a friend in California. And I picked up Freddie Dreyer, and I picked up Jack Reynolds, Hacksaw Reynolds. And I started building my business. And next thing I knew, I got a call from Phil Simms one day, and he had just been a rookie. And he was, I called him for an appearance. He called me back. And we got together in his rookie season.
Where did Phil go to school? Sorry to cut you off.
Morehead State in Kentucky.
Morehead State.
Okay. And when the Giants drafted him, the boos from the crowd, I can still hear the boos from the crowd. And if you remember, I know Fish knows this, but Phil didn't play for a couple of years. He was hurt. He was playing behind guys. I mean, his career didn't really take off.
No, it didn't.
Until about 4 or 5 years in, which is remarkable if you think about it, because guys don't get that kind of rope now. So,
let me tell you something.
The difference.
We used to walk on the street. People would say, "Hey, watch out where you're walking. You're going to fall." I mean, the first 4 years of his career in New York was horrendous, for him.
Yeah, he was.
And then, but George Young believed in him, and I got to give George Young credit because he drafted him, he believed in him, and he's probably the hardest guy in the gym. He works the hardest.
So I wanted to ask you about that because I heard that Sims was basically throwing 4 or 5 biscuits aside up there on the bench, and that's for you folks at home. Those are 45-pound plates. Guy doesn't know anything about that, but is that true? Was he? I mean, was this guy a beast in the weight room?
A beast in the weight room. He lived in the weight room. And what happened was he's in the weight room and he's working out every day with the offensive linemen and McConkey and Burt and Bavaro. And I got all these clients from him. He turned to them and said, hey, you got to have Fishof represent. You got to have Fishof. And I started representing 8 of the New York Giants. And in that Super Bowl season, I had the whole offensive line except Bart Oates and had Jim Burt. And they were great friends for the weight room. And we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun back then, and they were funny, and it was just a great relationship.
It was a great group. I mean, you probably didn't have Bart Oates because he came over, I remember, from the USFL, so he was probably had representation ahead of you. Otherwise, you probably would have had all those guys.
Would have had all those guys, but I really had the whole offensive line. Otherwise, Billy Ard was on the team. Benson, Benson was amazing, and they were just such great friends. And
Jumbo Elliott's a big fan of our show, and we
really?
him
He came back.
Jumbo, how you doing, man?
Yeah. So that's how I started, really, and they Sims gave me my big real push, and then I started representing ball players, and I followed them throughout their entire career, and when they stopped playing, except for Sims, I was able to get him into broadcasting, and he always wanted that. By the way, in his rookie season, we did a show in Bergen County. He really worked hard. I remember we went to a college to do it. This is what his dream was. And it opened up, and there was a lot of stories going on in there that we've endured. But he's had an amazing career.
Yeah, he has. He's an impressive guy, and he's certainly he shows a lot of different elements of kind of mental fortitude and the strength on the ball field. But I mean, the guy stepped up in the biggest games. We've been pretty fortunate in New York to have quarterbacks that seem to know how to do that. So,
and another guy who winning every day was about winning. And when you're representing these people and you're getting close to them, they're teaching you how to be a winner too. So you associate yourself. So and then all of a sudden I'm representing all these ball players, and I get a phone call. Someone calls me up and says, "Hey, are you interested in representing the association?" I said, "The association of what?"
Sure.
I had never heard of the association. Yeah, but I never heard of them. And I share. Yeah. All those great bands. I was sharing office space with Shep Gordon, the guy who manages Alice Cooper, and all these Gary Kerfus, who had the Talking Heads and Ramones. They all had gold records on the wall, and I wanted to have that. So I took on this band, and little did I know it was a really oldies band. But I started booking them.
Love,
great songs.
Never my love. Sorry.
The fans are the people are not tuning in to hear you sing, Sim. So Fish.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'll make it unknown.
Camp. I want to hear about the camp. Like,
so
let me ask you a question.
Right.
Could a hack like me come to your camp and learn how to play something?
Yes, and and people. So the biggest problem we have at camp is I have Jeff Beck, and how many people called me up and said a week before, I can't come. My wife's mother has cancer. My father has cancer. My guitar has cancer. They got scared. They get intimidated.
Right.
And they shouldn't. They shouldn't. Yeah. And because it's not like that. It's and then they eventually come. And once you come to the camp, I guarantee you your money back if I don't change your life. The experience of jamming with these superstars is just incredible. What Roger Daltrey gives, with Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, they transform into different people because it reminds them what it was like when they first started. That line that you said, you wish your parents would have sent you. Gene Simmons said that line. He said, I'm glad, I wish I would have had this camp to meet these people when I was young and to get experience. It would have been incredible. So the people, who come to the camp are for all ages, and it doesn't make a difference. And all, people think only rich people come. No, it's not true. We have people who pay it off. I don't care. We've given scholarships. I just want to give this dream to people to come to a camp, give me 4 days of your life, and I will change it. Your business will be better. You'll be a better husband. You'll be a better person, because when you learn from what these rockers, and let me tell you something. I wrote a book called Rock Your Business. And why did I write the book?
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah. Right. I wrote it because you can learn so much from Kiss, from the Beatles, from Led Zeppelin, from the Rolling Stones. These are the businesses that have been around for 50 years and they're making millions of dollars. There's a reason.
Coming back with David Fishof, founder of Rock Camp, sports agent, talking about business of rock and roll, of music, of sports when we come back.